Let's fly now. Let's fly now. Let's fly now. Get my stage. Fly now. Next my stage. Fly now. Get my stage. Fly now.
What up? It's your boy T-Bird here with new reaction. It's time for a new top 10 anime reaction video. This one I got from D&B Entertainment reaction to is called Top 10 Anime You Wish You Forget. So let me see if there's a synopsis for this one so I can read this one was about. Some animes are better left unspoken. For the list, we're looking at series like Dragon Ball GT, Lunar Legend, and Tokyo Ghoul. And to find out which series were terrible adaptation, lame cast grabs, piss poor sequels, be warned. Some of these anime are so bad you may never want to see them. They got the list on there, so I'm gonna not ruin it for myself. It was one anime I said that when I saw it, is already gonna be in the cutting list because that shit just seriously sick. It's called Prison School. I shit out for the chicks, but that anime just, a little sick. So, let's check this shit out.
Well, that was a waste. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 anime you wish you could forget.
Now, I'm wondering if some of these are going to be videos I have set to check out when I get a chance to. What's this one that everyone I'll watch later.
We publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we'll be listing the anime that, for a variety of reasons, made us wish we could go back in time and prevent ourselves from watching them.
Okay.
This is whether it was due to how awful, disappointing, or just pointless the end results were.
I looked away, let me say. Run that back real quick.
Number 10, Mineko, When They Cry. Murder mysteries are tricky things. They've got to be intriguing, well-paced, and packed with shocking twists and turns. In that regard, many consider the visual novel that this anime is based on to be among the best. So what could go wrong with the adaptation? Well, apparently everything. By itself, it's a subpar anime, but coming off the back of such an intrinsic narrative that reveled in its genre while also applying a haunting supernatural element, well, the final product is pretty poor. Key plot points are changed, the pacing is terrible, the rest of the cast are robbed of any interesting quirks, and the whole murder mystery aspect is stripped of its complexity. Number 9, Kiss X Sis. Okay, anime, we give you some manner of leeway when it comes to tackling taboo subjects because you can at least portray it in an interesting way. But when you dictate an entire series to two sisters getting it on with their very own brother, borderline hentai style...
What the hell?!
Even if you were somehow tricked into just watching the first episode, you're still exposed to the uncomfortable sights of twins flashing their brother every chance they get, while also trying to grope him. Ew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 8, Darker Than Black, Gemini of the Meteor.
Are we gonna get one of them in dub?
So many questions left unanswered, so many directions to take this series. And what do? Try their hardest to ruin everything that was so great about the first season in a follow-up that is downright insulting. The Syndicate, the Contractors, the Dolls, all are pushed to the side to allow a brand new protagonist nobody ever wanted, called Suo Pavlichenko, to take center stage. Now, you might be asking, what about everyone's favorite masked badass Hay? Well, it turns out that the Black Reaper is now an alcoholic hobo who has no problem with groping the underage Suo. Could they have taken a bigger crap on what was once a sleek, brutal, and intriguing show? Hopefully we'll never know. Number 7,
Okay.
Chaos Head.
Come on, wake up!
Here we go, double leaf.
Yet another example of a visual novel getting lost in translation. We can't fault this anime for its reach in terms of thought-provoking ideas and genre deconstruction.
Oh,
We can,
McDiamond
however,
Maze, the
for
fake
managing to
McDonald's.
fail at every conceivable point. As a socially inept young man suddenly finds himself with a harem of less than mentally stable girls who may or may not be murderers, all hell breaks loose as his life is turned upside down. Ooh, what's this?
The hell? Oh, shit.
It may be ambitious in its undertaking, but due to the narrative falling short and the character development remaining paper thin throughout, the whole thing comes across as underwhelming.
Sometimes I just can't stand you! Goodbye!
Number 6, Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny.
Damn.
Seed certainly hit a chord with fans, at least to the point where it could stand on its own as a solid entry in the franchise. Its sequel, on the other hand, not so much. Like a parasite, Destiny takes the fleshed out characters, situations, and twists of the original series and regurgitates it all into a mecha-filled mess that
I
seems
think
to
the
undermine
original Gundam was made in the
its strengths
70s, though.
just to give their new
Like-
poster boy protagonist Shin time in the spotlight, when in truth, he comes out as just really annoying. Damn you, I'm not gonna let you beat me! You've gotta move on! Maybe it would have done better if it had tried to be its own series, but dragging Seed's name through the mud does it no favors.
What the hell? This is a mess. It can't be helped.
Number 5, Pupa.
That sounds like it sucks.
怪我してるの？
No.
Ew!
Considered to be one of the worst anime ever made, Pupa is an exploration into visceral and unpleasant subject matters purely for the sake of trying to shock its viewers. With no well-rounded characters, storylines, or basic purpose to speak of, what was supposed to come across as a horror masterpiece is in truth an anime abomination that only lasts
Is this
4
like
minutes per
a
episode.
prissy-ass horror movie?
殺して。
Like
美味しくて。美味し
a
くて。
too
It
lighthearted
is, of
horror.
course, 4 minutes of watching a brother and sister engage in cannibalistic, incestuous fun times, along with a whole parade of torture and dismemberment. Feel free to burn your eyes out after watching this one. We
I
understand.
will not watch this. Okay. Some heads up on what not to fuck with. Ew!
Number 4, Eureka 7 Ow.
Eureka?
Alright, time to throw ourselves
remember
back
this
into the
lesson.
epic emotional roller coaster that is Eureka 7. Okay, we still have Sky Surfing Mecha, so that's a good start. Hang on a second. Where are Renton and Eureka? What do you mean they aren't main characters anymore? Someone need to...
They got a head on her. Shit.
Yep, in yet another example of taking an amazing franchise and doing jack squat with it, Ow simply uses the nostalgia of its prequel to springboard its own convoluted story. A story that happens to feature time travel and the occasional cameo by the original cast. Yay! Can they go back in time and stop this series from sucking so much instead?
Okay.
もう乗らない。どうして？ますます嫌われちゃうだろ。
Number 3, Tokyo Ghoul Route A.
Oh, it's a sequel.
You were off to such a good start. Why would you waste such an excellent adaptation like this? Granted, the fact that Route A wanted to go its own way with its own exclusive narrative is relatively well and good, on the condition that they make it a worthy follow-up. But they didn't. Sure, Kaneki is still a traumatized badass, but from the point he decided to join the group that tortured him, we knew we were going to be in for a rocky ride.
何？
Given the number of untied plot threads at the end of it all, it's fair to say that a lot of us went clamoring for the manga straight after. Number 2, Lunar Legend Tsukihime.
That was it.
Remember, there is no Tsukihime anime. Well, there is, but we prefer to think otherwise. All memes aside, Type Moon are pretty lucky that the later adaptations of the Fate-verse turned out so magnificently, because if this was their only claim to fame in the world of anime, they would be in a lot of trouble. By its lonesome, the anime is mediocre and highly forgettable. But when compared to the universally adored visual novels that blend rich storylines, intriguing characters, and beautifully dark lore, the whole thing's just a travesty, plain and simple.
早く逃げなさい。
Number 1, Dragon Ball GT.
I beg for your mercy. Failure is unacceptable.
That did kind of suck.
It It wasn't perfect by any definition, but Dragon Ball Z's longevity and impact remains undeniable thanks to its eccentric characters. So, how was GT going to continue the legacy of such a beloved show? Well, it wasn't. Instead, this sequel squandered whatever potential it may have had with subpar animation, uninspired villains, and underwhelming battle sequences. The fact that they tried to ride the high of the original Dragon Ball series by turning Goku back into a child was just really cheap, too.
If that's the case, it might be easier for you to just grow up like any other child.
No amount of Super Saiyan 4 was going to stop this show from being anything more than a colossal disappointment. Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from Watch Mojo and subscribe for new videos every day.
Alright, yeah, some of them, that was pretty bad right there. That was pretty bad. So give me a heads up what not to fuck with. So, other than that, top 10 incredible anime you never knew. I'm gonna add that to the list. What's the other one? It was top 10 world. Okay. Top 10 worst anime. I don't see that in there. I did see it, but I'll add it. I'll look up and add it. But yeah, that was pretty bad. I guess that sucks. The sequel to Tokugu is not as good as Tokugu. So anyway, give me a heads up. Fucking prison school should be in that motherfucker too. That shit was just horrible. So if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my Facebook page. If you agree, do you agree with these? Do you agree with them? Just let me know. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.